This coin almost slipped through history unnoticed, almost got a single penny that many thought was ordinary, forgotten, worthless, but when it finally surfaced, it shocked the entire coin world because it sold for nearly $1 million. Imagine that for a moment. A penny struck in 1958, with no mint mark, something millions of people held in their hands without a second thought, and yet, hidden among them, one extraordinary mistake that turned a single copper coin into a life-changing fortune. Collectors call it one of the most elusive treasures of the Lincoln Cents series. And if you think you've seen every penny in your change jar, think again, because this one, the 1958 no mint mark wheat penny, carries a story so rare, so mysterious, that dealers and experts are still left speechless to this very day. The answer lies in a shocking twist that nobody saw coming. In 1958, the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia produced millions of wheat pennies. Most were identical, perfectly ordinary, and worth just 1 cent. But in that same year, something went terribly wrong inside the minting presses. A tiny error, invisible at first, created a coin that should never have existed, and when the first of these errors was discovered, it didn't just spark curiosity, it ignited a firestorm in the collecting community. Collectors couldn't believe their eyes. The coin appeared normal at first glance. Lincoln's profile, the wheat stalks, the familiar date of 1958, no mint mark is expected for a Philadelphia coin. But then, a closer look revealed the impossible, the date. The word liberty. The phrase, "In God we trust." They weren't struck once, but twice. A dramatic double die, the kind of minting mistake that transforms a simple penny into a priceless artifact. And here's where the story takes a wild turn. Only a handful of these double die 1958 wheat pennies are known to exist. Some say just 3 examples. 3 coins out of hundreds of millions minted. The odds of finding one are so microscopic, so astronomically small, that it almost feels like winning the lottery, except the prize isn't cash, it's history itself, locked inside a piece of copper smaller than your thumb. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. When one of these 1958 no mint mark double die wheat pennies surfaced at auction, collectors went into a frenzy. Bids skyrocketed. Numbers climbed higher and higher, as if no one wanted to be left behind. By the time the hammer finally fell, jaws dropped everywhere. That penny, just 1 cent, had sold for nearly $1 million. Think about that. A coin that could have been tossed in a parking lot, lost in a couch cushion, or spent on a piece of candy, instead transformed someone's life forever. One man's pocket change had become $1 million miracle, because unlike other famous error coins, the 1958 double die is almost myth-like. Collectors whisper about it, dealers search for it, but only a select few have ever held it in their hands. For decades, it's been the kind of coin that turns casual collectors into lifelong hunters. The kind of discovery that makes you check every single penny that passes through your fingers. What if, sitting in an old jar in someone's attic, hidden inside a dusty coin album, or resting in a forgotten roll of wheat pennies, lies the next $1 million 1958 wheat cent? The thought is enough to keep treasure hunters awake at night, but the story doesn't end with its rarity. No, what really captures the imagination is how easily this coin could be overlooked. At first glance, it looks just like any other wheat penny. Copper, aged, no mint mark. Thousands of people have probably seen one, held one, even spent one, without realizing what they had, and that's why this coin is so dangerous, because it hides in plain sight. Collectors were shocked when the first discovery was confirmed. Dealers rushed to verify it. The whispers became louder. Could there be more? For years, people searched, hoping lightning might strike again. But each time, disappointment. Until, rarely, another example appeared, and once again, the coin world erupted. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The doubled lettering, sharp and unmistakable under magnification, tells the story of a die error that the mint could not repeat if it tried. It was a freak accident of machinery, a once-in-history slip that birthed a legend, and yet, despite its rarity, the dream lives on. Picture yourself finding one. You're sorting through your old change, maybe a roll of pennies from the bank, maybe an old collection passed down from family. At first, everything looks the same. But then you spot something odd. The letters seem thicker, doubled, almost as if they're trembling on the coin's surface. Your heart starts pounding. Could it be? Could you be holding the next $1 million wheat penny in your hand? Here's how you identify it. The coin must be a 1958 wheat penny, no mint mark, struck in Philadelphia. Turn it under a bright light, use a magnifying glass if you have one, and focus on the inscriptions. Liberty and In God We Trust should show clear doubling. The date itself, 1958, will leap out at you, with a ghostly second impression right beside the first. This is the telltale sign. Without it, it's just another penny. With it, you're holding $1 million miracle. There are counterfeits, copies, and ordinary pennies passed off as rare. The real ones have been authenticated, graded, and locked in protective cases. Only a tiny handful are known, and each one is priceless. So if you think you found one, don't spend it. Don't trade it. Protect it, and have it examined by a trusted grading service, because this exact penny, this 1958 no mint mark wheat cent with the legendary double die, has already sold for over $1 million. And it could happen again. So the next time you reach into your pocket for change, pause for just a moment. Look closer. That ordinary looking penny could carry a secret. A secret that could rewrite your story, change your life, and place you among the legends of the coin collecting world. This coin almost slipped through unnoticed, a tiny copper penny, minted in 1997 with a simple D mark. For most people, it was just one more coin to toss into a change jar. But for one collector, it became the key to a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. A penny that, against all odds, was worth over $1 million. Imagine this. You're digging through pocket change, maybe after a trip to the grocery store. The coins jingle, nothing special, until your eyes lock on one that feels different. The shine is familiar, the year is ordinary. 1997, but then you see it, the D mint mark. And your heart skips a beat, because this unassuming coin hides a secret that most people miss. And for the lucky few who've spotted it, the rewards have been staggering. One collector in Colorado nearly spent his 1997 D penny at a gas station. At the last second, something about the coin caught his eye. He slipped it back into his pocket. Weeks later, experts revealed what he had in his hands, a near-perfect specimen with a minting anomaly so rare, it stunned the entire coin world. That penny sold at auction for a jaw-dropping $1.30 million, but what happened next left collectors speechless. Think about it. Millions of pennies rolled out of the Denver Mint that year. To most people, they were worthless. Just spare change. But among them, a handful carried tiny errors, misaligned dies, doubled letters, even small imperfections invisible to the naked eye, unless you know exactly where to look, and those mistakes transformed an ordinary cent into a priceless treasure. Collectors were shocked. Dealers began whispering about it at coin shows. Rumors spread online, stories of people pulling 1997 D pennies from circulation and cashing in for life-changing amounts. Most of these valuable pennies don't look dramatically different. In fact, if you aren't paying attention, you could spend one without ever realizing it. And that's what makes this story so haunting, the thought that a coin worth more than a luxury home could vanish into a vending machine forever. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. The Denver Mint was under immense pressure in the late 1990s. Billions of coins needed to be struck quickly. That rush, that pressure, created the perfect storm for mistakes. Tiny cracks in the dies. Slight doubling in Lincoln's profile. A faint blur in the word liberty. Each flaw a fingerprint of rarity. Each imperfection a silent fortune waiting to be discovered. But here's the secret most people never hear. These coins aren't just rare because of the errors. They're rare because so many slipped away unnoticed. Collectors didn't catch them in time. Families spent them without a second thought. And the few survivors, the pennies that were saved, are now the stuff of legend. And yet, the story doesn't end there, because one discovery led to another. After the $1 million auction, reports began trickling in. A coin shop in Texas claimed to have seen one. A collector in California swore he found another. Each story reignited the hunt. And every time a new 1997 D surfaced, the bidding wars were fierce, with prices climbing higher and higher. But this is where you need to pay attention. The difference between a 1-cent penny and $1 million treasure often comes down to a detail smaller than the width of a hair. The thickness of the letters. The sharpness of the date. The clarity of the mint mark. Miss it, and you walk away with a coin worth a penny. Catch it, and you've uncovered a life-changing fortune. Collectors have spent hours hunched over magnifying glasses, scanning 1997 D pennies under bright lamps, hoping to spot that elusive error. Some find nothing. Others find everything, and here's the haunting part: no one knows exactly how many of these treasures are still out there. It could be dozens. It could be hundreds. Every coin jar, every shoebox, every dusty drawer could be hiding one, but what makes this story so powerful is the emotion behind it. Picture the moment a collector realizes what they've found. The trembling hands. The racing heart. The disbelief as an expert confirms the truth. That penny, once worthless, is suddenly a passport to freedom, wealth, and legacy. One man used his discovery to pay off his home. Another funded his children's education. Lives changed forever because of a single coin. First, check the mint mark. The D should be crisp and clear, but in some error examples, it may appear doubled or slightly misplaced. Next, study the date. Some rare varieties show doubling on the numbers, especially the 1 and the 9. Look closely at Liberty and In God We Trust. Any doubling, stretching, or distortion could signal immense value. Then examine the coin's overall condition. Flawless, uncirculated examples command the highest prices. But even circulated ones with the right errors can fetch staggering amounts, and here's the biggest mistake to avoid: never dismiss a 1997 D penny as ordinary without checking. Too many collectors have let fortunes slip through their fingers by failing to look closer. This coin almost ended up in a grocery store cash register, but instead, it sold for more than $1 million. A simple penny, struck in 2006 at the Denver Mint, slipped quietly into circulation, tens of millions just like it were produced, tossed into change jars, handed over at gas stations, and forgotten at the bottoms of pockets. But among them hides a rare anomaly, a minting mystery so powerful that collectors now value it at up to $1.7 million. Imagine reaching into your car's cup holder and pulling out the very coin that could change your entire life. Not to the collectors who have already witnessed it happen. The 2006 D Lincoln penny was never meant to be famous. It was a routine issue, part of the long-running Memorial Reverse series, carrying the image of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the stately Lincoln Memorial on the back, but hidden inside this year, and this mint mark, lies a secret that sent shockwaves through the coin world. One collector in Colorado nearly missed it. He'd dumped a handful of pennies onto his desk late one night, sorting them absent-mindedly, expecting nothing, but when the light struck one coin at just the right angle, he froze. The details looked different, sharper, unusual, and when he brought it to a local coin shop, the dealer's face went pale. This was no ordinary penny, this was a mistake born deep inside the Denver Mint, a double strike, a misaligned die, a flaw that should never have escaped into the public's hands, yet it had, and because of that, this man's pocket change was suddenly worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. But the story didn't end there, because what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Word spread, collectors began scouring their penny jars, their bankrolls, even their children's piggy banks, desperate to find another, and slowly, more examples began to surface. Each one was more dramatic than the last: off-center strikes, doubling visible in Lincoln State, a shifted mint mark, or even subtle die cracks snaking across the coin's surface. A flaws so rare, they turned a 1-cent coin into $1 million miracle. Think about that for a moment. A coin you've seen 1,000 times. A coin you've probably spent without a second thought, yet hidden in plain sight is one that could pay off your mortgage, fund your retirement, and change the course of your family's future. Collectors were shocked. Dealers rushed to acquire every unusual 2006 D they could get their hands on. Auction houses, once skeptical, suddenly found themselves at the center of bidding wars that soared past all expectations. One penny, once forgotten in pocket change, hammered down at auction for more than $1 million. And here's the part most people miss: the difference between an ordinary 2006 D penny worth just 1 cent and the rare variety worth $1.7 million comes down to tiny details. The kind of details that hide in plain sight. Look closely at the date. On certain examples, you'll see doubling, a faint shadow effect on the numbers, especially the 2, the 0, and the 6. Check the mint mark D. Some are punched slightly out of alignment, tilted or misplaced, giving away the Denver Mint's rare error. And study the edges. If the strike looks off-center, or if the details of the Lincoln Memorial blur into the rim, you may be holding something extraordinary. But here's the real twist: not every collector recognizes these signs. Coins with million-dollar potential have been overlooked, spent, or even tossed into donation jars. The people who once held them never realized the fortune that slipped through their fingers. One man's pocket change became a miracle, another family's forgotten coin jar became their golden ticket, and still, most Americans remain completely unaware. But now you know that the 2006 D Lincoln penny, a coin so common it hides in plain sight, carries within it the possibility of a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. You know that a single overlooked detail could mean the difference between a penny and $1 million, and you know that somewhere out There, right now, more of these coins are waiting to be found. So check your change, search your drawers, look twice at the pennies you once ignored, because this tiny piece of copper and zinc could be the key to your financial future. The 2060 Lincoln penny isn't just a coin, it's a secret, a mystery, and a miracle of chance, and it could be hiding in your pocket at this very moment. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but when it finally came to light, it stunned the coin collecting world because it was worth nearly $2 million. A simple, ordinary-looking 1987 penny, carrying a small D beneath the date. A coin that millions of people spent without a second thought. And yet, one rare mistake, one hidden detail, turned a single piece of copper into a collector's dream worth up to $1.9 million. You're sorting through your pocket change, tired after a long day. Pennies, nickels, dimes, nothing special. But among them, you spot a 1987 Lincoln penny. Something about the shine catches your eye. You almost toss it back, but something stops you. And that one moment, that single second of hesitation, could change your life forever, because hidden inside certain 1987 D-mint pennies is a mystery few people even know exists. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. In 1987, the Denver Mint was producing millions upon millions of Lincoln pennies. They rolled off the presses in endless streams, copper-plated zinc, cheap, ordinary, destined for vending machines and lunch counters. Nobody expected greatness from them. Nobody thought a single cent could ever matter. But in the chaos of mass production, errors creep in. A tiny misalignment. A doubled strike. A minting flaw invisible to most, but priceless to a trained eye. Collectors were shocked when one of these tiny mistakes surfaced. A 1987 D penny that looked, at first glance, like every other coin. But under the right light, with the right magnification, the details told a different story. A doubled date. A misstamped D. A coin that never should have left the mint, but did. And because of that, it became a legend. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle. At auction, this coin sent shockwaves. Bidders who had handled pennies their whole lives suddenly saw them in a new light. Could it be true? Could something so ordinary hold such extraordinary value? The price climbed higher. 100,000. $500,000. Past $1 million. And when the hammer fell, the room went silent. This humble penny, this single cent, had reached a value no one thought possible, but this is where the story gets even more unbelievable, because the coin wasn't supposed to exist at all. The Denver Mint prided itself on precision. Quality checks, inspections, corrections. But somewhere in that massive operation, the mistake slipped through. Some experts believe it was a double die error, where the coin's design is struck twice, creating faint but powerful duplications on the date or lettering. Others whisper about repunched mint marks, where the D itself shows faint shadows of a second strike. Either way, only a handful of these coins escaped into circulation. And today, they are worth up to $1.90 million. Collectors are racing to find them. Dealers are offering staggering sums. And everyday people are beginning to check their change like never before. But here's the detail that most people miss. The 1987 penny was the second year after the United States switched fully to zinc cores, covered by a thin copper plating. These coins corrode, they wear quickly, they tarnish easily. Which means most of them look dull, worn, and unremarkable. The rare survivors in pristine condition, especially with minting errors, are almost mythical. If you find one, especially with sharp details and no wear, you're not just holding a penny. You're holding history, and yet, most of these $1 million coins probably slipped by unnoticed. Tossed into fountains, dropped in parking lots, cashed in for groceries. The kind of mistake that haunts collectors to this very day. Because for every one person who discovered the truth, hundreds missed it. But wait until you hear this. One collector claims he found his 1987 D-era penny at a garage sale, buried in an old jar of coins. The seller wanted just a few dollars for the whole jar. He almost passed on it, but something about the shine caught his attention. When he got it home and examined it closely, he realized what he had. Within months, that small purchase turned into one of the most valuable Lincoln cents of all time. Think about that. A jar of coins. Loose change. Something you and I see every single day. And hidden inside it, nearly $2 million. It's stories like this that fuel the obsession. Coin collectors around the world are chasing the dream. Searching penny rolls. Digging through jars. Examining every small detail, every mark, every scratch. Because somewhere out there, another 1987 D penny is waiting to be found, but here's the chilling part: not all of them are errors. In fact, the vast majority of 1987 D pennies are worth only 1 cent, millions upon millions of them. Ordinary. Forgettable. That's what makes the rare survivors so powerful. Finding one is like pulling a diamond from a pile of gravel. Most people never look. Most people never notice. But the few who do, they change their lives forever. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The secrets are in the details. Examine the date carefully. A doubled die will show faint doubling, especially on the 1 and 9 of 1987. Study the mint mark D. In rare cases, you'll see signs of repunching, almost like a shadowed second D. And don't forget condition. Collectors will pay staggering amounts for coins in pristine mint state, while worn coins, even with errors, may be worth far less. A single coin from 1987, struck in Denver, can be worth up to $1.9 million. And that possibility keeps collectors awake at night, every time you open a coin jar. Every time you get change at the grocery store. Every time you spot a penny on the sidewalk. Because history has proven it, the unthinkable happens. The ordinary becomes extraordinary. And life can change with something as small as a single cent. So the next time you see a 1987 penny, don't ignore it. Hold it close. Study it carefully. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost slipped through the cracks of history, a single penny that could have been tossed into a parking lot, forgotten in a piggy bank, or even left stuck in a couch cushion. But when it surfaced, it shocked collectors worldwide, because this tiny piece of copper, a simple Lincoln penny from 1979 with a small D mint mark, has been valued at up to $2 million. And here's the most unbelievable part: thousands of people have handled this same coin without realizing its true worth. Right now, it could be hiding in your pocket change, but how can a coin that most people would overlook, a penny, be worth more than a mansion, more than a sports car, more than most people will ever see in their lifetime? The truth lies in the rarest of minting mistakes, a secret that only a handful of collectors know, and one that could turn your pocket change into a fortune. Back in 1979, the Denver Mint was producing billions of pennies. The Lincoln Memorial reverse was still in use, with Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile on the front. To the untrained eye, every one of those pennies looked the same. But hidden among them were mistakes, tiny errors that the mint never intended to release. Some of those errors slipped out, and those are the coins that would later stun the collecting world. One collector tells the story of finding a 1979 D penny in a roll he bought for just 50 cents. It looked ordinary, until he noticed something strange about the mint mark. It wasn't struck the way it should have been. It was doubled, slightly misplaced, almost trembling on the coin's surface. What he was holding wasn't just another penny. It was a one-of-a-kind error, and within weeks, it would sell for tens of thousands of dollars. But that was just the beginning, because some 1979 D pennies hold an even deeper secret. A dramatic mistake in their very creation, a flaw so rare that only a few exist today. These coins have been graded and authenticated by top certification companies, and in pristine condition, they have crossed into the unimaginable, auction prices climbing towards $2 million. It's not just the date. It's not just the D4 Denver. It's the details most people miss. A doubled die obverse, where Lincoln's features, his nose, his lips, even the word liberty, appeared doubled under magnification. A misplaced mint mark that drifts just slightly off where it should be. A striking error where the penny wasn't centered, leaving a crescent of blank metal at the edge. These flaws, invisible to the casual spender, transform a single cent into $1 million miracle. Collectors were stunned when the first of these rare 1979 D errors appeared at auction. Dealers rushed to verify it. Experts held it under microscopes, measuring every line, every curve, every letter. And when it was confirmed as genuine, the bidding war began. What started as a coin worth 1 cent climbed into the tens of thousands. Then the hundreds of thousands. And finally, over $1 million. But here's the part that shakes the entire coin world: another 1979 D penny, even rarer, even cleaner, has been valued by experts at up to $2 million. That's not a typo. $2 million. For a penny, imagine this. A coin you might have spent at a gas station, a coin you could have dropped in a tip jar, could instead be your ticket to life-changing wealth, and yet, thousands of these coins are still out there, sitting unnoticed. Why? Because most people never take the time to look. They don't know what to search for. They don't realize that the tiniest detail could mean the difference between 1 cent and $1 million, but what happened next stunned even the most seasoned collectors. A man cleaning out his father's coin jar discovered a handful of 1979 pennies. Most were ordinary. But one had that elusive D mint mark, doubled, faintly off position. He sent it in for grading. When it returned, certified as an ultra-rare mint error, dealers lined up with offers. Some offered cars. Some offered six-figure checks. And one collector quietly said, "This is $1 million penny." Look closely at the 1979 Lincoln penny with the D mint mark. On the obverse, Lincoln's portrait, check for doubling in his eye, his lips, or the letters, "In God We Trust." Under magnification, the doubling is clear. Look at the date itself, the 1979, where doubling or distortions can be seen. Then, focus on the D. If the mint mark looks doubled, misplaced, or unusually shaped, you could be holding one of the rarest error coins in American history. Condition matters, too. A coin in mint state uncirculated, with its original shine, can be worth exponentially more. The difference between a worn example and a flawless one can be hundreds of thousands of dollars. Collectors often make the mistake of thinking all pennies are the same. They spend them without looking. They cash them in for face value. They ignore the hidden details. But the truth is this: the rarest treasures don't always shine the brightest. Sometimes, they're hiding in plain sight, and right now, as you listen to this, there could be a 1979 D penny in your change, waiting to be discovered. Dealers are searching. Collectors are hunting. And one coin, one lucky find, could make you the next name whispered in auction halls. This is not just about copper and metal. It's about possibility. It's about the thrill of discovery. It's about knowing that history and fortune sometimes rest in the palm of your hand. So the next time you see a penny from 1979, don't dismiss it. Don't throw it in a drawer without looking. Check the mint mark. Study the date. Use a magnifying glass. Because hidden in those small details could be the difference between 1 cent and $2 million. And remember this final truth: this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. For decades, people overlooked it, spent it, tossed it aside without a second thought. But in 1992, deep inside the Denver Mint, something extraordinary happened. A tiny mistake, invisible to most eyes, created one of the rarest Lincoln pennies ever struck. A mistake so rare that collectors are now willing to pay nearly $1 million just to own it. But how did such a small coin become so valuable? And what secret detail separates a life-changing fortune from an ordinary penny that's barely worth its copper? The truth will leave you stunned. It all begins with the Lincoln Memorial Cent. By 1992, this design had already been in circulation for over 3 decades. Millions of pennies rolled off the presses every single day. To the average person, every one of them looked exactly the same. But behind the scenes, the mint was preparing for something new, a dramatic design change coming in 1993. The Lincoln Memorial reverse was about to be replaced by the Lincoln Memorial with a refined obverse, featuring a sharper, crisper close AM design, and this is where the story takes a shocking twist somehow. During 1992, a small number of coins were struck with the wrong design. Instead of the standard wide AM style, where the letters A and M in America are spaced apart, these coins were struck using the new close AM reverse. The A and the M are nearly touching, a detail so subtle, most people never notice it. But to collectors, that tiny difference is everything, and when the Denver Mint accidentally used this new reverse early, the 1992 D close AM penny was born. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. For years, no one noticed. These pennies circulated freely, mixed in with billions of ordinary cents. Imagine the heartbreak of knowing how many slipped through hands, jingled in pockets, or vanished into vending machines without anyone realizing their true worth. Then one day, a sharp-eyed collector spotted the error. He compared the A and M in America and realized something was very, very different. He had stumbled onto a coin no one thought existed, a Denver minted Lincoln penny with the 1993 design, struck by accident in 1992. Word spread like wildfire. Dealers scrambled to confirm it. Auction houses couldn't believe their eyes. And soon, these coins began to surface, but in terrifyingly small numbers. To this day, only a handful are known to exist. Collectors were shocked. Some offered tens of thousands of dollars instantly. But as time passed, the bidding wars grew more intense. One remarkable specimen crossed the auction block and soared to nearly $1 million. Think about that, one tiny penny, struck by mistake, almost ended up in pocket change, but instead became a life-changing treasure. There are two versions of this rarity. The 1992 close AM struck in Philadelphia without a mint mark, and the ultra-scarce 1992 D close AM struck in Denver. Both are worth a fortune, but the Denver version is even more elusive, even more mysterious, and even more desirable. An ordinary man empties his change after buying coffee. At first glance, nothing stands out. Just dull copper pennies, worn in common. But when he looks closer, he notices something strange about the word America. The A and the M are not apart, they're almost touching. His heart races. Could this really be it? He checks again. The date is 1992. The mint mark, a sharp D for Denver, gleams just above the year. His hands tremble. He realizes he's holding what could be $1 million miracle. Stories like this spread through the coin world like lightning. Dealers rush to educate collectors. Enthusiasts scour their penny jars, roll after roll, hoping lightning might strike twice. And every time a new discovery surfaces, the value climbs higher. Why? Because there are so few. Because no one knows how many still remain hidden. And because the dream of finding one is too powerful to resist. But here's where it gets truly chilling. Experts believe most of the 1992 D close AM pennies are still out there, sitting unnoticed in drawers, jars, and piggy banks. Every day, people handle them without realizing they're holding a treasure. You could have one in your house right now and never even know it. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The A and M in America. Wide apart means ordinary. Close together means extraordinary. That one microscopic detail separates a penny worth 1 cent from a coin worth $1 million, and yet, the danger is real. Many collectors mistake worn coins, altered coins, or even counterfeits for the real thing. That's why knowledge is power. That's why learning to spot the exact markers, the sharpness of the letters, the spacing of the A and M, the placement of the D mint mark is the key to unlocking this fortune. First, check the date. It must be 1992. Then look closely at the mint mark. For the $1 million rarity, it will be a D, meaning it was struck in Denver. Next, turn your eyes to the reverse, the word America. If the A and the M are nearly touching, you may have just struck gold. Compare it to a normal penny from the same year. On the ordinary version, the A and the M are spaced apart, clearly separate. On the close AM, they are tight, close, nearly touching. That difference is everything. Collectors know this is one of the rarest modern Lincoln pennies ever discovered. Auction houses confirm it. Dealers hunt for it relentlessly. And still, the mystery remains: how many are left to be found? Imagine being the one to discover it. Imagine the feeling of turning a penny into a life-changing payday. Imagine knowing that you held in your hands what so many people dream of finding. That's the power of this little copper coin. That's the reason it's worth $1 million, and now you know the secret. You know the detail that most people overlook. You know what separates an ordinary coin from a treasure that could change your life. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, when you pour out that jar of pennies sitting forgotten in your kitchen, take a closer look. Because the 1992 D close AM Lincoln penny is still out there. It's hiding in plain sight. And it could be waiting for you.